for 30 years. I'm an OBGYN by practice, and I work for a large organization, Kaiser Permanente. Pia?
I'm Pia Duray. I'm the Director of Membership and Communications. I've been with Medical Society for over 8 years. I am in charge of membership benefits and event planning and communications. If you ever have any questions about what you can do to get involved or ideas for something that we should be doing program-wise, but you don't see, I'm the person to reach out to.
Robert?
All right, I'll go next. I'm Robert Hay. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Medical Society, born in the District of Columbia, Providence Hospital, grew up in Ward 7, as well as Prince George's County. My role here is to make sure that the lights stay on metaphorically and sometimes literally, and that we continue the 200-plus year tradition of the Medical Society and help people like Dr. Emanuel be successful and be leaders in the medical profession.
Dr. Charles May?
Hi, I'm Caroline Charles May. I'm a pediatrician. I was in Atlanta for like about 19 years practicing. Moved to DC in 2018, and I do locums in the DMV area.
Okay. Dr. Singh?
Hi, I'm Nicole Singh. I practice internal medicine in private practice on 19th Street, Northwest DC. And I've been practicing for about 20 years. And I'm happy to finally join the MSDC.
Thank you all. Pia, next slide.
I think it's running a little bit slowly. Sorry, Dr. Emanuel. There we go.
Okay, so guys, here's a short agenda, as you can see. I'll go over MSDC overview. We'll talk about advocacy, COVID-19 health care, our heroes. We'll talk about the benefits of MSDC, and then we'll open it up for question and answer discussion. Okay, and we'll talk about what's on you guys' mind. Next, so MSDC, we have over 3,000 plus members and we're growing, but we're the voice of over 10,000 physicians. Our mission is to make it DC the best place to practice medicine. I also believe that it should be to practice easily. And also to give you a little history that the Medical Society was first founded in 1918. It was the 12th medical society to be formed in the United States. It was the first medical society in the country to be chartered by the Act of Congress. And it also was given the authority at that time to license the physician to practice medicine. Okay. In 1911, it merged with the Medical Association of the District of Columbia. In 1988, it accepted its first woman applicant. Yes, that's a little history there. Pia, next slide.
Okay.
Okay, so our agenda, I'll tell you, year after year when we have surveyed our members, what comes back consistently over the years is the high value of the advocacy that we perform. We've noticed that, well, we know that our voice actually as physicians provide tremendous benefit to physicians as a group, for our patients, and it helps our legislators to move the bill, or yes, let's just call it the bill, through the legislation. I'll also say to you that we achieve our mission through the agenda. And this year we are focusing on, I would say, providing quality care to all, protecting all physician practices, whether, give you a little history, we have mostly, it's taken place not just in DC, across the country, where organized healthcare is being the major employer. and smaller practices are needing larger voices, and MSDC can and have protected those practices. We are promoting public health and making prescription affordable to all. I would say also we have monthly advocacy events, meetings. We have an event occurring at the end of this month with one of our council members. We also held a meeting last month as well. And it is a place where people can learn what's on the agenda as well as voice their concerns. And that being said, Robert, can you show us or provide more information about our advocacy platform?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. Thank you, Dr. Emanuel. And Dr. Emanuel is going to be making his debut as a testifier before the district council in a couple of weeks here. He's going to be testifying on the oversight hearing for, I believe it's the DC Medicaid program is the first one up. So he's going to be making his debut before Vince Gray. So make sure you ask him in a couple of months how it is and what it was like to go up virtually before the council members. Well, thank you. Thank you all for joining again today. I'm just going to run through kind of our advocacy program a little bit, and B is going to do a bigger deep dive on the website in a bit, but I just want to show you a couple of things of note and also talk about some of the programs that we have in addition to what's already been mentioned. So a point of kind of clarification. So the Medical Society of DC, we are an organization that does do advocacy at all levels of government. I myself was a federal lobbyist for 10 plus years. I'm a registered district lobbyist in addition to all the other things that I do, which means that every meeting that I set up with a member of the council, staff, or executive branch, I have to fill out a form for. It's part of the glorious life of a lobbyist in the district. But we do advocacy at the local level, as Dr. Emanuel mentioned. We work with the council. We work with the mayor's team, with all the various departments, although we focus primarily on DC Health and DC Healthcare Finance in the administration. We also do some work at the federal level. As we all know, the district doesn't have voting representation in Congress. So when we partner with the American Medical Association on national issues and other advocacy groups or medical groups, we're asked to sign on to letters, but our advocacy as an organization is a little limited because we can call upon Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton, seen here on the website, but there's a very limited value in that. So we tend to work with the AMA and other groups to pass on information to our members who may live outside the district and have a bit more of a voice in Congress. I also like to point out that we do work with the AMA's Litigation Center. And this is the arm of the American Medical Association that files lawsuits or amicus briefs on medical issues. If you think of the most high profile issues, this Affordable Care Act case before the Supreme Court, the AMA will often file a brief on cases like that, as well as various federal and state and local court cases that affect the practice of medicine. When the case is in the district's, the district's local court purview, we will often join the AMA in an amicus brief and work with them on that process. So our advocacy, even though we are the Medical Society of DC, actually goes beyond our borders at times and can have very national implications. So a couple of other things to point out about advocacy, as Dr. Emanuel mentioned, he mentioned our 4 buckets of our priorities for this council period. And what we have is for our 24th council period, which if you don't know, the district council is a 2-year period, is what we call DC's COVID Heroes Advocacy Agenda. And these are the issues, as you'll see on your screen, that really are the ones that we are going to be focusing on over the next 2 years. Now, we are not going to probably be introducing legislation on all of them. We will probably be working on issues related to all of them. But these are the focus of our attention in terms of the DC Council, the District Council. during this cycle. And so it'll be a lot of familiar issues, specific things such as, looking at tort reform, scope of practice issues, but also looking at kind of wider issues such as health equity, speaking out for affordable care for all residents, affordable prescription drugs, and addressing structural racism in medicine. So this agenda is very broad and also targeted, but it covers a lot of the things that, as Dr. Emanuel mentioned, involve making DC the best place to practice medicine. So this, our little advocacy agenda is on the website. When you go to our advocacy page, which again, Pia will run through the website a little bit more, you'll see if you click on the main advocacy button, this is where you'll go. And this is the breakdown of what we're going to talk about. You can see how we did last council session, which is, I think I moved it from this page, but we do have a list of successes that has its own tab. We have a different levels of support for legislation. You can check on that. And if you are interested in a specific issue, we do have a breakdown under important issues. So you see up here, oops, advocacy, and then important issues in 5 sections, just based on how issues tend to be broken down in the council. And so under each of these issue briefs, we have a quick summary of the issue. We have a list of statements and testimony on the issue in that council period. Again, with this being a new council period, there's not much listed, but there will be. News stories on that, involving that issue. So you'll see we joined the local ACOG, actually national ACOG, in a letter seeking expanded coverage for DC Medicaid, as well as samples of legislation that we've worked on in the past few years around that issue. So we try to make this website a deep dive to make it easier for you all to talk about advocacy issues important to you. And then finally, we are going to be expanding this page. As Dr. Emanuel mentioned in passing, we have what we're calling our advocacy curriculum, which is where our monthly advocacy webinars happen, where our news stories about how to do different aspects of advocacy and feel comfortable in advocacy, as well as we'll be adding additional web pages to the website about how to testify and how to get more involved and be a better advocate for medicine in the district. So we're building out an advocacy curriculum to help all of our physicians feel comfortable in advocacy and talking about the issues of importance to you and your patients. But if you are interested in getting even more involved with MSDC on legislation, no, Dr. Singh, we've had a conversation about this. There is a way you can sign up and encourage your colleagues to sign up on the website to talk about what issues you're interested in. So we try and engage all of our physician community in advocacy. So I'm going to stop my screen share, stop talking, and turn it back over to our experts.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, I would like you guys to think of MSDC as the place that you can get assistance to ease the practice of medicine, making practicing in the district the best thing that can possibly occur. Now, that may sound a little hyperbole, but that's how I want you guys to think about us. What can we do to help you ease the practice of medicine? We're here to maintain or improve your well-being. We'll talk more about that later. We have resources that will save you time and money as your practice grows, or if you need information on how to make your practice grow, how to get information concerning particularly COVID, or who can you work through in the district, in the government of the District of Columbia to get your license renewed, so to speak. Where do we find certain information on their website, which can be quite daunting at times? Think of us, we can be there. Last year, we moved quickly. We got tremendous acclimates on the information, the how-to as it pertained to COVID-19. We want to be that place where you guys can come to when it's concerning vaccination, information, or distribution, as well as administration. We're there. And we are a networking physician. We connect you to other physicians. We connect you to the community. We can connect you to your counsel person. We're here to do those things for you as it pertains to medicine. Clinical care, how to improve your practice as well as the lives of your patient. Whatever we can do, think of us, because we're here as that benefit. Next slide. Okay, I spoke about we're here to maintain or improve your well-being. We know that burnout is a significant issue in the practice of medicine, and we have a program. I like to think of it as a two division program, so to speak. Well-being, trying to, you're not dealing with, for example, addiction, but burnout is there for you. We have that part of the program can assist you through that process. And then we have those who are, because of burnout or other issues, are facing addiction. We too have a very confidential program to help those patients who are afflicted with addiction. We have two complimentary consultation. I encourage you to use it just to see what it's like and to spread the word that we are here and available. Next slide. Okay, well, I spoke before, we want you to think of us as your resource center for information, things that make your practice flow easy. As I said, we have a website, and Pia will show you that, where all important matters of COVID will be placed. You can find it easily. We're making, I'm hoping that you will agree with that once you see that. Also, there are links to DC government and information that DC government may have for us. We have a publication site as well as practice management information or center. Information that, as I said before, that can save you time and money. At this time, I want Pia to demonstrate that for our new members. Pia, you're on mute.
Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. I'll show you where you can find information online these days. We want everything at our fingertips, but if there's anything that you need questions with or ever have a question about, don't hesitate to reach out to me or to Robert or any of us if there is a question that you need immediate assistance with. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of where you can find some of our most basic resources on the website. So this is our website, MSDC. For physicians is where we try to put most of the stuff for you that you might need. And a lot of the benefits that we provide are the community, the well-being, and the practice management assistance, as Dr. Emanuel mentioned. First, we'll go into well-being, which Dr. Emanuel mentioned. We have a healthy physician program, and on that program, you can go into this page, which was right here under wellness, and there's information, but there's also a selection of wellness professionals that you can arrange for a complimentary consultation if you're feeling burnt out, if you need some kind of coaching or other different levels of expertise. There's descriptions of the different people that you can contact and the physicians, and then you can see that right here. This is how you choose your well-being professional. The coaches are listed here, and so that's a benefit that is available through a grant. That's something our past president spearheaded as a year-long project to be able to help physicians deal with the burnout that's part of your everyday practice and existence. And so that's a benefit that's available to you. Another thing that helps with well-being is the community that we provide through our physician networking opportunities. And Dr. Emanuel's going to talk about that. But if you have any questions about what physician networking groups we have. I know Dr. Charles May said that she was involved with Women in Medicine, and Dr. Singh, you can find anything about our different sections, which there's a long list, as you can see on this page, and information about the groups is on there. They are at different levels of activities, but if you ever want to know what activities are going on, you go to the events page, and there's a list of all of our events right here. This includes networking events as well as the advocacy events that Robert mentioned, and other events that happen to fall within MSDC's spectrum and universe. Sometimes there may be an event that you know about that you think other physicians should know about. Reach out to us and let us know about it. If it's something that we think would be of interest to other members, we're happy to share that and put that up on the board. We want to create a community and foster a community of physicians, and so this is one place where we try and help you see what's going on and who's participating in some of these different events. So that's how you can find the events that are going on. And finally, the Practice Management Center that Dr. Emanuel mentioned is right here. This talks about some of the different partnerships that we have. We offer a telemedicine program, Doctor First, that you can do teleconsults if you don't already have a program for that. We also have a bulk PPE purchasing program that offers discounted PPE. So that's an option that helps you save money. And we have a whole series of other benefits on there. We'll go back to the website. And the last thing I just want to draw your attention to is our COVID-19 Resource Center. This has all the latest information about COVID-19, including the vaccination for healthcare professionals and other important information of that matter. So this is updated on a regular basis so that you can find current information that's DC specific. And if there's any questions that you have, this is the first place I'd go. And then the second place is just shoot an email to Robert or I. And that's it for the website.
Thank you, Pia.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it. So our next slide is being part of an active physician community. And this, prior to joining Dr. Singh, Dr. Charles May was speaking of her interest in our women in medicine. So this is just a slide telling you about the different things or committees, groups that we have. The Advocacy Committee, myself and Robert spoke about that. We have the Women in Medicine. I think that's self-explanatory. Bright Young Doctors, our Medical Society and Alliance Foundation. Now, I would have Robert state more about what that foundation does so that I don't mess it up.
Right. So the Medical Society and Alliance Foundation is a 501c3 charitable organization that works to advance the goals of the medical society, primarily through providing scholarships and educational help to medical students, regardless of age, and allied health professionals. The foundation's actually chaired by the daughter of 2 MSDC presidents, and actually she's a member of probably our royal family of MSDC. So it's a great foundation to keep track of and get involved in.
Thank you, Robert. Our task force on family violence is actually, we partner with a national association.
Either Dr. Emanuel was thinking very deeply or he's frozen. I'm not sure which it could be.
I'm not sure either.
Well, Dr. Emanuel, are you there or are you still frozen? Pia, do you want? Yeah, while we're waiting for him to come back, do you mind just filling in about the task force on family violence?
Sure. The task force on family violence actually has been spearheaded by Dr. Kim Bullock over at Georgetown University, and they do lobbying and they do consultation on different bills and issues. They're a multidisciplinary group. It's not just physicians. They look at the legal background of family violence. They have medical educational experts. They do symposiums or participate in symposiums on family violence, and they advise the mayor on issues. Actually, one of their members is on the mayor's task force on family violence. So it's really a very active and robust organization. If that's an issue that's of interest to you, it's definitely an opportunity to have a strong impact on the issue, which of course, touches, as we know, these kinds of determinants impact health. And this was actually one area, I guess, where the medical society, it's been in existence for about at least 15 years. And we were a little bit, we had some foresight on that issue and how it impacted health. So it's something that we're very proud of and that is open to members to participate in.
And while we're waiting for Dr. Emanuel to come back, I know it's 6 o'clock and we want to leave time for questions and discussion, but Pia, do you mind taking a moment to talk about the top picture on this slide?
Oh, sure.
Because I think this is a really cool event. And I think this is symbolic, or not symbolic, it's representative of what we do in our, building community.
Exactly. And actually, especially since you're interested, that top picture is a event that the Women in Medicine group held. This was actually something where where our co-chairs organized an event at Lululemon in Georgetown. And we had a gathering of women who spoke or who met, and we just had and the topic was on setting boundaries. So the Women in Medicine section covers a very I would say a very well-rounded array of issues relating to women in medicine. I'm not sure what kinds of programs you've been exposed to in the past, but they look at the personal aspect of being a woman as well as the professional constraints and some of the other issues that women in medicine deal with. And you will see that it's a very robust group and they're always open to suggestions. So if there's an issue that you think they should be addressing, or an issue that's relevant and impacting you as a woman in medicine, I'd encourage you to reach out and say, hey, have you ever considered doing a talk on this, especially if you know someone who can speak about it.
Sorry, guys, I lost connection. The scary part about that is I lost connection in the office, which should have better bandwidth than my home. So forgive me. Pia, just update me on what was spoken about so I prevent myself
okay,
from sounding
I think
redundant.
we went over the being part of the physician community. And we'll move on to what's next.
Okay, so you guys can see we have an oversight on the 19th. As I said before, we have advocacy meeting every month. So try to join us if you can. We have our board meeting on the 22nd. Out of the board meeting, you guys would, whatever the board decides or approve, we release on the website. So you should receive some of that. And we have a report. I'm a little excited about the report on March 10th, the unconscious bias in medicine, which we started from last year. And so I'm really interested to see what we've come up with. A little history on that. We surveyed our membership on what, several questions, many questions actually. And one of them was, how much training did you get in unconscious bias? And we took it from, we looked at not just race and we also looked at gender and different gender on different levels. So not just male, female bias, but transgender, pangender, non-binary, which was new. We did get valuable information. So I'm excited to see or hear and read that report on March 10th. So now the exciting part of the meeting, guys, the question and answer format. Any questions that you guys have, and please don't hesitate. All questions are welcome. And I think everyone's muted.
My question is, how do you get involved with the Women in Medicine section?
Okay, Pia, help us with that question.
I will connect you with our chairs, and just as a perhaps as a way of introduction, the Women in Medicine section is run by two co-chairs, Drs. Anjali Malik and Maria Aramburu. Dr. Malik is a breast imaging radiologist and at Washington Radiology, and Dr. Aramburu is a pediatrician at Georgetown. And they do the majority of the planning there. And then they let people know about the events. It's they don't have and so getting involved means that you can help with planning the events or participating in the events as they come up. As I said, they are in the process of planning a very interesting arrangement of events for this year, but they are always looking for suggestions and for speakers. If there's someone that you hear a talk on, and this actually happened last year, we had there is a Twitter guru on working on parenting during the pandemic. She was up in New York, but thanks to the magic of online meetings, we had a online webinar with her talking about her book on parenting and during the pandemic. And so these issues, whatever issues that impact you, you are able to please volunteer any ideas or any thoughts that you have. Is there something else that you were hoping to get involved with, say on other than planning events?
No, I just wanted to know how to join and get to the event. So yeah.
Okay. And I will say that even though the Women in Medicine group tends to revolve around planning, Robert does deal with a lot of women's health issues, which have a different, a similar, sometimes have some overlap. So there's always an opportunity to get involved in women's health issues.
So thank you for this overview. It's actually very helpful for me. So I would be interested in the Women in Medicine Committee as well in participating. But one thing that I've noticed as a physician in a private practice, I think I probably mentioned maybe a little bit to you, Pia and Robert, I think when we spoke, but this past year, I found myself, after practicing for 20 years, feeling a bit isolated. We have a small practice, there are 4 of us, but there've been so many changes in the past year that that it's so hard to keep up in a way that that you're not violating any laws. Like for instance, with telehealth medicine, they made the exceptions for the I guess the licensing when the pandemic started, and I still haven't been able to figure out when that technically ends. So for instance, in our practice, we're still doing telehealth appointments, and I'm not sure where I would go for that information.
I can give a little bit of help with that. So in terms of licensure around telehealth, the current requirements in general will end when the public health emergency ends, the declaration for the public health emergency ends. So that actually that deadline is coming up in about 4 weeks. What I've heard is that the district government would like to mirror the federal government in terms of the feds want to continue the public health emergency basically through the end of the year. And I'm hearing the district government wants to do the same. One of the issues that we're having locally is the feds can only do it for 90-day increments. And so the local government is trying to balance, how they're going to keep extending this. In addition, we're hearing that there's pressure coming from the insurance side to maybe loosen some of the public health emergency requirements, especially around telemedicine and some reimbursement issues. So that's one of the type of things that we're keeping an eye on is how long is the current system going to go? And we're actually working on a coalition with a bunch of other healthcare groups, the Hospital Association, Primary Care Association, Behavioral Health Association, because we're all in the same boat of like, let's keep this going for as long as possible because we are in an emergency. So we're keeping a close eye on these things so we can, and also when Dr. Emanuel speaks to the council in a couple of weeks as part of the budget hearings, he's going to say, I know this because he's told me, and we were of the same mind on this, some of these provisions that you have been talking about as part of a temporary public health emergency, you need to make permanent. And licensure is something that we've been harping about for almost a year now. So we're going to mention that before the council, before Chairman Gray in a couple weeks.
Thank you. So Robert, is there a central location where I could go then to actually see if there are updates on that and check in periodically?
Yeah, it's something that we would normally put in the news section of our website. So Pia, do you mind if I grab the screen real quick? Okay, let me grab this real quick. So a couple of things. So I mentioned we'll probably be putting these things in the news. So news you can get a couple of different places. Number one, you can get it under, oops, I'm on that page, under the issues themselves, like I showed earlier. But if you go to our homepage, you'll see we have hot topics. These are actually our news items. And so you'll see the first two, but also under For Physicians, there's news. So spread throughout, there's different news items. And then as they extend the public health emergency and make changes, we will be putting them out through here. So I'm trying to think, when was the last time we put up the extension? It's been, I think it's probably been 90 days or so, but we'll be putting them up on usually in the news section. So that way it populates throughout the website.
So Robert, as I think what he's driving is, as what Robert is driving is, as that news refreshes, we put it up in that place. So you don't have to really go searching, just goes to that location and it should show. But if there's something there that you don't see and would like to know, please reach out to us and we can get that to you. Again, we want to make practicing easy for you in the district. So we don't want to send you on a chase to find information that we can readily get to you at a click of a button.
Another thing I've experienced this year is after 20 years of practicing, seeing my practice dwindle a bit, and then also seeing a lot of the specialty practices where people are retiring, and so I wonder if there's a way, and this might be through the Women in Medicine Committee, I'm not sure, where we can, physicians who don't already know each other in different specialties, we can get to know each other from the perspective of a future referral base as well.
Yeah, networking also is a benefit that we have. It's interesting. The committee is a good place to network. We don't have typically meet and greet, not that we can't do it, that's pretty interesting, but you sparked something. I started to think about as you spoke. We have seen practices close. We have seen those who were thinking of retiring in the next 5 years kind of move that date up closer because of the pandemic, which have left gaps, is what I'm hearing. How do we get, and MSD historically has been a place where people would come and network to basically be a referral center. How do we do that virtually? Because people are not getting together. Right? So how do we do that virtually? That's pretty good. Any suggestions, Robert or Pia?
Well,
Besides, women in medicine, so on and so forth, those committee.
one thing that we have started to do, and is to spotlight different members. It's not exactly networking, but it's at least letting you know who other members are and what stands out about them. And we're always looking for people to be spotlighted. So if you want to share your information with me and be featured as a member spotlight, this would be where we just let people know what your practice is, where you're located, as well as all the stuff that makes you you and makes you how you're going to be able to help their patients. And the same for you, Dr. Charles May. This is we realize that you can't be everywhere at once, but you can spotlight yourself on our website, and that way, when people meet you through a networking event, they'll already remember having seen your face or your bio briefly. And we're continuing to try and work on other ways to network, because certainly the networking and referral issue is one that comes up. Let me just mention, we do have a practice managers group, which allows different offices to connect. That's more for the practice managers. And I know you were thinking more about the doctors, but the practice managers, I sat in on their meeting last year, or I guess it was the year before now. And they're really a good way to kind of network. They share notes about the doctors too. So I encourage you not to overlook that.
Thanks. I was thinking more along the lines of, and not even just my own practice, but really supporting other practices, because I think a lot of us, I'm in primary care. And so a lot of us who have been practicing for a long time, we tend to refer, we have, referral patterns, and we tend to refer to the same people, but there's so many wonderful doctors out there in a variety of specialties who I don't know. And I'd certainly love to support and refer patients to, but the way that I practice is I like to know who I'm referring to. I like to be able to describe them to my patients. And so that's where I think, it's harder now because everything is virtually, but I think, in the, long ago when people used to go and congregate in the doctor's lounges, that's when they would, just chat and get to know each other and find out about each other's practices. And we don't have that now. So some form of replacement of that would be great.
Are you suggesting like an independent physicians group? Or
a virtual lounge?
A virtual doctor's lounge. I love that.
Okay. That's let us work on that, think that through. Yeah. But a virtual lounge, yeah, let's see how that works, because I'm not sure if it's through invitation or we just keep it open and people want to come through and connect. I don't know. Let me think about that. It has to be out there where there's a chat room and people can actually go into their private chat, so to speak, if you want to get to know one physician, a particular physician better. Let me see what's out there.
Yeah. And of course, we're talking about the COVID world now, and hopefully there'll be more opportunities for in-person networking, which I think is probably a little bit more effective when that time comes.
Yeah. I'm writing down the virtual lounge so I can follow up with you guys. Any other questions, recommendations, suggestions? Okay, guys, again, we're here for you. We, one of the things I wanted to carry home with you guys is that the best place to practice medicine with these, that we are that resource for you, and whatever we can do, just don't hesitate to ask. The worst we can say is, hey, let us see what we can do. We'll get back with you. The best thing we can say is, hey, we have that in place. So reach out to us as we need, and welcome to the organization, the society. Thank you. Bye.